Okay, good evening, everyone. So let's start the session. Thank you for joining this session on Lean and Six Sigma. So today we'll be seeing Durgadevi Padmanaban. She's the speaker for this today's webinar. So before we see about the Lean and Six Sigma, let's see about who we are. That is Center for Advanced Practical Project Management. The services what we offer are the advisory and consulting services on PPM, best practices, PMO, and project management maturity services. And in professional services, we do the integrated projected planning, PMO setup, support and hand holding, DCMA schedule assessment, onboarding, project planning and control, and mentoring and coaching of team members, and on and off. So whenever on an ad hoc basis, any monthly project plan review and reporting works will be done. And the other services we offer are the business agility, transformation and change advisory services, that is mainly towards the SAFE, that is scaled agile framework. So we cover mainly on the agile PMO transformation, lean portfolio management, LACE, that is Lean Agile Center of Excellence, and the change management in SAFE. On the tool part of implementation services, we do the best practices on EPPM implementation using Oracle and Microsoft Project Online. And we also have a custom tool developed using Microsoft Project Online, so which is customized with the out-of-the-box configuration, which comes with Power BI, PERT analysis for risk, and the DCMA schedule assessment. And also we support on the EPPM in migration and upgradation services. On the training part, we offer on PMI certifications, PMI best practice workshops. So the P stands for public program and C for corporate. And the PMI best practice workshops mainly concentrating on the EVM, event value management, work breakdown structure, and project estimation. And then the PPM technology workshops, we have Oracle as well as Microsoft Project Online with the client applications, and the Azure DevOps, that is ADO, that is basically for agile project management and issue management. The other training that we offer is on the SAFE certification part. So we offer SAFE certifications program on SAFE Scrum Master, SAFE LPM, Lean Portfolio Management, SAFE for Teams, SAFE Advanced Scrum Master, SAFE Product Owner, and Leading SAFE. So today's session is about Lean. So it will be handled by Durgadevi Padmanaban. She has cleared her MBA. And also she is certified Six Sigma specialist and certified PMP. She has over 12 years of experience and successful track record in providing training and consulting services. And she has done various training programs in project management, Lean Six Sigma, root cause analysis, learning management system, and quality management system. And some of the international assignments are majorly in Gulf, and she has worked in various organizations in India. And some of the major customers are Etisalat Academy, Ministry of Health, Oman, DRDO, Sharjah Tourism, Commerce and Development, TVS of India, and HCL, and some more organizations. And this is the agenda. So now I'll hand over the session to Durga. Durga, you can just take it.
Thank you, Mr. Shaju. Very good evening to everyone. I'm glad to meet you all. So let me share my window. I hope everyone can see the PowerPoint slide.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. So the agenda for today is to compare Lean and Six Sigma. First, to understand what is Lean, what is Six Sigma, and then understand what is the differences and what is the similarities and which one to choose. Okay, so that's the agenda for today. Let me start with Lean. So what is Lean? Lean is generally understood as a a habit. Lean is basically understood as a culture. Okay, more than a methodology, more than a set of tools. Lean is usually understood as a flexibility, agility, and ensuring flow in the process. So, lean is defined as an operational excellence strategy that enables people, organizations to change for the better. So, this is a very generic definition. Uh, this definition would hold good for any kind of process improvement model, be it TQM, be it Six Sigma, or be it Lean. This, because all of them are operational excellence strategies, and that works toward collaborating people, navigating through the organization.
Durga, we lost your audio.
Hello, can you hear me?
Now it's okay.
Yeah. So I was saying that this is a very generic definition. So let us focus on some specific aspects of Lean, specific principles of Lean. So Lean originally is known as TPS, Toyota Production System. But although it is people at Toyota Productions was originally credited for the development of Lean, although this is originally the story of Lean. But the history of Lean started probably in 1900s, in the very beginning of 1900s, during the First World War and Second World War. During these times, in fact, that is the origin of not only Lean but also many quality models, and particularly Lean has its origin after post World Wars. So during First World War and during the period of Second World War, there was a requirement of productivity, high production, because the one who hold a large amount of weapons, they win the war. So they wanted mass production. So when they wanted mass production, they wanted standardized parts. So they should able to replace the parts quickly. Only if they have standardized parts. They cannot have a manual production or a craft production. In a craft production, you cannot have standardized parts, because the unit of production or the components of a product, the dimensions of the product components will vary from one product to another product if you are if they indulge in craft production, right? So they wanted standardized parts. Ellie Whitney is the person behind bringing the concept of standardized parts, such that we can easily interchange parts instead of interchanging the machine itself or interchanging the weapon itself. Right? So then came Frederick Taylor, who is known as father of scientific management. He is the man behind time and motion studies. If there is a discipline called as industrial engineering, he is the one who is behind the origin of this discipline called as industrial engineering. When everyone is busy in production, producing more and more, they didn't concentrated on efficiency. They concentrated on producing more from more raw materials, more by more. But Frederick Taylor is the one who concentrated on how to change the movements, how to keep the layout in a conducive manner, how to work on innovative practices just by movement of the operators, right movement of the operators, how we can reduce the cycle time such that we can increase the production. Rather, by increasing the production by more materials, how do we focus on efficiency in order to produce more? Okay, so he is a man behind time and motion studies. But soon after, although Frederick Taylor or Ellie Whitney, these people were inventing newer production methods in the West, post World War, soon they forgot all the efficiency methods and models. In fact, many Americans who worked on this improvement of production models, they traveled to Japan, including Dr. Deming. Deming is known as a father of quality management. He traveled from United States to Japan, and he is a man behind one of the persons behind the awareness of efficiency, or awareness of awareness of not wasting anything, the resources, the materials, the movements. So he's one man behind it. And Toyota took the lessons from Deming. Not only from Deming, they took lessons from many people. So one important person who is behind this Toyota production system, which is the origin of lean concept, is Taiichi Ono. So Taiichi Ono and other forefathers of Toyota manufacturing organization, including Sakichi Toyoda, Kiichiro Toyoda, Shigo Shingo. So these are the people who were who were the reason behind developing this Toyota production system. Because Toyota was in crisis post World War. The whole Japan was in crisis post World War. The demands were very, very less. And even if there was a demand, the demand was not a uniform demand. Different people had a different kind of demand. They wanted variety of products. Some wanted a very cheap product. Some wanted a very luxurious product. So mass production will not help them. So they cannot learn from the West. They tried to learn from the West. In fact, they traveled to the West in order to learn from the Western system of production, the mass production. But they understood that that system would not work for them because they do not have such huge resources of the superpower. They do not have such mass amount of people who can work, who can be paid enormously to produce. In fact, they don't want to produce in mass because there was no demand. There was very less demand, but a variety of a demand. So they wanted a flexible system. Okay, that is when the lean was born. So the Toyota production system has two major pillars in it: a continuous improvement, respect for people. So these are the two major pillars of a Toyota production system. Actually, there are two different ways of interpreting the Toyota production system. So this is a philosophical system. Later we will see technically how the Toyota production system can be interpreted. So this is the basic philosophy. So continuous improvement, every day look for smaller improvements instead of going for a breakthrough improvement. A breakthrough improvement require more investment, whereas a smaller improvements, incremental improvements would not require more investments, right? So continuous improvement is one pillar of a Toyota. On another hand, respect for people. In other words, don't treat operators or production engineers or laborers as machines. But that was the disadvantage of mass production system. In mass production system, particularly in the assembly line, everyone will be concentrating on just doing their function. They do not have time to do anything else because they have to produce more. The assembly line is moving. They cannot waste even a minute. If they waste a minute, the assembly line will get collapsed. Okay, so the older assembly line I'm talking about. So, but here in Toyota production system, they didn't believe on just deploying people to work on the assembly line and just be treated as machines mechanically. So they wanted people to solve problems in a team. They want the people who are working in the shop floor, they want them to innovate in a way or eliminate waste in a way that they can produce more, at the same time they can save on the resources. So these are the two pillars of a Toyota production system. So the Toyota production system was becoming popular, where everyone solve problems together, eliminate waste. Okay, the Toyota production system was later called as Kaizen. It was later called as Kaizen because there was a man by the name Masaki Imai. He wrote a book by the name Gemba Kaizen. So from this book, the word Kaizen became very popular. Kaizen literally means change for the better. Kai means change, Zen means better or good. So change for the good is the meaning for a Kaizen. Right? Later in the western side of the world, James Womack and Daniel Jones, they wrote a book by the name The Machine That Changed the World. So they were studying Toyota. Okay, they were studying Toyota, they were visiting the Toyota plant, and they understood how Toyota has risen from a very, very, like, from a almost bankrupt organization to the world leader. How this was possible for Toyota, how Toyota was able to supersede Ford when originally in 1940s Toyota's production was no longer, not even nearer to Ford. So there was always a story about the demand between, the productivity between Ford and Toyota. Ford was able to produce nearly 8,000 cars per day, whereas Toyota was producing only 2,000 cars per year. So per year production is 2,000, where here per day production is 8,000. That was the difference between Ford and Toyota in 1940s. But within
Durga, sorry to interrupt.
yeah.
Yeah, there's one person who's joined as unknown user. Can you please rename? May I know who is that? Can you speak and tell who is
I'm
that?
sorry. Can you hear me? I'm sorry. Maybe I'm the one.
Your good name?
My name is Dua. I've joined from my cell phone, so I don't know if I didn't know that I'm joined as an unknown. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she is from UAE.
Yeah, I'm from IOA exactly.
Yeah, DOA is already is there. DOA is already there. There
Maybe
is
someone else.
someone else.
Okay.
So you can just speak or give me a chat. Otherwise, in 1 minute we will remove. Sorry, Durga, you can continue. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I was talking about the origin of the word lean. Okay, so these people, James and Jones, they have come up with a book called as The Machine That Changed the World. So there they were studying the Toyota production system. And in this book, they introduced a new terminology called as lean, which became very popular. As you all know, the Western world can easily spread message. Because of the communication tools that they possess, and of course the center of power. So the word lean became popular, very popular. Okay, so lean, the word lean, they mean is agility, making the process agile, flexible, such that the process can produce in less quantities, the quantities that is only required, and it can produce a variety of items because the changeover time is so less. Okay, so according to Kaizen, or according to Lean, or Toyota production system, whatsoever you call the name, according to this methodology, overproduction is a waste. So they reduce the production. If you're producing more than demand, it is not required, because if you produce more than demand, you would try to push the product into the market, and the defects will increase, the cost of warehouse will increase, right? So make your processes, make your manufacturing system agile, flexible, such that you can produce less with a very less resources. You can still make profitability. You're still profitable. Your organization still grows. Okay, so you can invest more time on inventions, innovations, coming up with newer models, newer features, instead of producing an existing model, uh, an existing feature more than the demand, right? So nowadays the life of a product is very less. a, a life of a product, in olden days we had a single model sustaining in the market for quite some time. We had cars which were there in the market without any competition for 40-50 years. Ambassador was there without any competition for nearly 50 years, right? But that is not the case right now, particularly after globalization. That is not the case. So the life of a product is very less. When the life of the product is very less, there is no point in producing in mass, because soon you have to change the product, then you have to do changes in the product line. You have to do changes in the flow, in the supplier, in the whole value stream. There is change required, right? So the bottom line of lean is to reduce the waste and to ensure flow. Lean centers around the concept of value. Who determines value? Who determines value of your product or value of your process? It is the customer who determines the value of the product or value of the process. So what exactly is value? What is the meaning of value? Value is everything that your customer is willing to pay for. Any process or any movement or anything in your production system, if the customer is not willing to pay for, then that is called as non-value added activity. For example, a customer, if you're in a training session, if you're in this webinar session, what is the value that you take from this webinar session? Every sensible word that I speak is a value, right? If at all I take time to set up my computer, if at all I take time to open my PowerPoint, if at all I take time to do some kind of a changeover from one document to another document, this is not value. You're not here for that. It's a non-value added activity. Similarly, in every organization, there is a lot of non-value added activities that we do every day. For example, the customer is not paying for the transportation. The customer is not paying for an unnecessary movement of materials or men. The customer is not paying for you storing your materials. He is paying from the product. He looks for only features that helps him to fit his solution, that acts as a solution to fit his organization or fit his utility. That's what he's paying for. He's paying for the process. He's paying for the conversion of a raw material into a final product. So during the conversion of a raw material into a final product, there are many non-value added activities. For example, a machine breaks down. It's a non-value added activity. You're changing over the machine. You're changing some setup in the machine. It's a non-value added activity because it is not doing anything on the conversion. When you design a product, when you assemble a product, when you polish a product, yes, that's value added. But there is no value added when you're setting up a machine or when you're repairing your machine or when you're moving your material from one place to another place or when you're storing your material. There is no conversion happening. He is not willing to pay for that. But still, we push the cost of these non-value added activity in the price for which the customer is actually paying, right? So if you want to be a company that produces that provides utmost value to the customer, then internally, inside, in the process, we have to reduce this non-value added activities. So if this is your process, okay, all the red areas are non-value added areas and all the blue areas are value added areas. We generally think that non-value added areas are little. They are there, but they are only little. This is what you generally think. And sometimes people argue that certain non-value added activities are necessary. Yes, they are necessary, but still, even if you add some necessary non-value added activities which are in yellow, still you can see the red area is huge. Okay, when you do a value stream mapping, lean methodology have a tool to analyze what are the value added activities, what are the non-value added activities. So when the name of the tool is value stream mapping. It's a special type of a flow chart that is used to understand which are value added activities, which are non-value added activities. So when you use this tool in many industries, in even the market leaders, it is understood that they spend a lot of time, money, resources on non-value added activities. The non-value added activities is huge, right? So identifying these non-value added activities, the wasteful activities, and eliminating these non-value added activities is called as That is the aim of lean or Kaizen. Okay. So what are the non-value added activities? Non-value added activities are generally called as MUDA. MUDA means non-value added waste. You can call it waste or you can call it non-value added activity in Japanese language. So in a lean organization, they strive to eliminate at least these 7 primary non-value added activity. Overproduction is a non-value added activity. Waiting, transportation, over-processing, inventory, movement or motion, defects. So all these are non-value added activities. So any work that you do on these areas is not going to add any value, which in turn is a wasteful activity. The overproduction is called as mother of all mudas, because when you overproduce, when you do not exactly calculate the demand and balance the workload based on the demand, that will lead to all the other mudas. An overproduction will lead to a queue in the line, queue in the assembly line, a bottleneck in the assembly line, which will make the processes to wait. And when you're overproducing, you're over transporting. You're transporting to the warehouse more than required. In one truck, you can ship it. If you are shipping only the products which are in demand. But when you are overproducing, you're over transporting from one warehouse to another warehouse, from the supplier warehouse to a retailer's warehouse. So overproduction will lead to over transportation. Over processing more than necessary, processing more than what the customer wants. Sometimes some polishing works, surface finish works, which are not required for the customer, which is still done in the organizations. Even in not only in manufacturing organizations, we can even take the service industries. Sometimes creating more documents, more reports, more than necessary, duplicating reports, duplicating information in many reports, not having an integrated information system, which will lead to overprocessing. Recording the same data again and again and again, sending the same kind of data in different types of reports, right? So which is overprocessing. Inventory or warehouse or storing is definitely a MUDA. This is very difficult for people to take it, because many argue that inventory is important. Then how do we have the buffer stock? It is widely seen the buffer stock is more than the peak demand. Let's say the peak demand on any given year is, let's say, 1 million units. So people generally, for that 1 month of demand throughout the year, they are maintaining this 1 million units, which is a MUDA, because an inventory will add cost, will add resources to look after, and it will also lead to defective products. When you're storing, it will lead to defective products. And when you're storing, when suddenly there is the market change, a demand change, all these units are going to become obsolete, which is a MUDA. Motion or movement. So unnecessarily, if you have a machine which is not properly placed, if you have a layout of your factory which is not proper, even in the office, when the layout is poor, when I say poor layout, without understanding the movement required of the employees, if the office is designed in a different way, you can see people moving to the printer again and again and again. You can see people moving to some frequently visited areas. Could be a meeting area, could be a pantry, could be the restrooms. Okay, if they are not properly placed, then there is a waste of movement. Here it is not only people's movement, it also material movement, which is a MUDA. Defects, of course, clearly a MUDA. So the aim of lean is to continuously, persistently identify the MUDA and eliminate the MUDA, so that you will have a flawless flow. You will have, the flow is very clear. There is no chaos. If there is a problem, it can be immediately identified. when you have no inventory, when you have no bottlenecks, when you have no queues, when you are producing only for the next process or only for the customer, you're not pushing the products, right? When you're not producing in batches, you're producing in just in time, or a single unit flow. If this is available, so if your workplace is organized, if your processes are organized, so this will lead to an absolute value stream, a 100% value producing chain. Not only within your organization, lean starts from your supplier's supplier, and it ends in your customer's customer. So if you have to establish a good lean, it is not only within your factory, it is also empowering your supplier and educating your customer, right? So lean as a whole, you can say that it is otherwise called a ZII, which means zero investment improvement. In order to implement lean, you don't require some sophisticated machines, tools. It is only common sense. It is only reducing. It is cutting down, not cutting down the quality, but cutting down the waste. Okay, being 100% disciplined, having the eyes of welcoming the quality problems and eliminating it, right? So that's the point of lean. So lean is to eliminate MUDA. MUDA means a process element that does not create value on your product, and it has to be eliminated. So lean uses visual tools. Lean uses visual tools. There are many visual tools like value stream mapping, Kanban, Jidoka, indicators, general visual indicators. So with the help of the visual indicators, it ensures that there is no overproduction happening. There is no bottleneck in the process. There is the workplace and the layout is completely organized. So nobody is wasting time in searching. Nobody is waiting time in additional physical movement. So the physical strain and stress is reduced. So it ensures the visual tools helps to achieve the flow or eliminate the MUDA. So lean thinking, make problems visible. So only if your organization have a welcome problem attitude, no blaming culture, then lean is very well possible. That's why it is always said that lean is a culture. So if you have to implement lean, the cultural, the minds should be first of all ready. So this is a technical TPS. So the two pillars of TPS is Toyota Production System or Lean is JIT and Jidoka. What is JIT? JIT is you are not producing more than demand. You're producing only for the demand, and only when the demand is required, when the demand is called for. So you're only satisfying the demand, and at the right time and at the right place to the right person. Jidoka means mixing manual processes, and actually Jidoka literally called as it can be translated to automation. Automation is different from automation. Automation is without thinking about the process, without thinking about the creativity required for the process. If you blindly involve machines into a process, this is called as automation. Whereas automation is a mix of men and machine. It is making the men and machine work collaboratively, because machines cannot think, only men can think. So machines will, wherever this repeated processes which does not require any creativity, there they would involve the machines, and whichever processes has to be continuously improved, and whichever processes have a great value to be added, which has a say on the value of the customer, there they would ensure that there is a human intervention. So identifying the points of complete automation, identifying the point of automation, and accordingly implementing this automation principle is another pillar of lean. So lean as a whole, it involves 5 S. Fivers is known for workplace organization. Kaizen is known for small incremental improvements, less cost improvement, zero investment improvement. So on this base, you try to achieve JIT, just in time, with no overproduction, and Jidoka, an appropriate combination of men and machine. So this is the overall principle of lean. This can be achieved by variety of tools, and most of the tools are visual tools. On another hand, what is Six Sigma? By looking at the terminology Sigma, you can very well understand that it has something to do with statistics. Yes, it has something to do with statistics. Okay, so Six Sigma originally, like how does it become popular? So in fact, the Six Sigma is very much attached to the name. Six Sigma is very much attached to Motorola and also General Electrics. But the root of Six Sigma again was there during the First and Second World Wars. So during the First and Second World Wars, when they were working on producing more with less resources, okay, this man, Walter Schuhart, brought in a concept called as statistical process control or statistical quality control. He is the man behind control charts. All the manufacturing organizations today and some service industries today use control charts. So he is the one who came up with the concept of using the mean, median, mode, standard deviation, range, variance. So this kind of statistical measure he used in order to analyze the process. Okay. Edward Deming, who I was just mentioning, the father of quality management. So he even accepted Walter Schuhart as his mentor. So Walter Schuhart and Edward Deming, they together invented a lot of tools, and they gave a lot of principles as well. Deming's 14 principles is very popular in the quality world. So they worked on analyzing the process stability and capability. Later, in 1980s, Bill Smith, who was a chief engineer in Motorola, so he was identifying certain customer complaints, repeated customer complaints. And then he started using control charts in the manufacturing process, and he invented a concept called a Six Sigma. So a Six Sigma is a data-driven method. When we say lean is a common sense method, when lean is a logical method, Six Sigma involves collecting data, analyzing the data using the statistical tools, and understanding where is the problem, and then eliminating those problems. So sigma, the word sigma, the term sigma is a Greek letter which denotes standard deviation, or simply you can say it is a measure of variation. Calculating the sigma will tell us what is the variation in your process. So why the process should not vary? Because if the process is varying, which means your process is not producing consistent results. If it is not producing consistent results, which means it will soon push you to make defectives. I would like to show you one. Okay, let us discuss this slide. Okay, so people generally think that variation is not a big problem. If there is a slight variation in your process, for example, let's say there is a restaurant who is delivering food, or let's say pizza. So their average pizza delivery time is, let's say, 30 minutes. Okay, so now this is average. The average pizza delivery is 30 minutes. But when we look at the data, if we take the data for 1,000 pizzas delivered, and if they have a very high variation between one pizza delivery to another pizza delivery, for example, there is a pizza which is delivered in 15 minutes, and then in 20 minutes, 49 minutes, 50 minutes, 30 minutes, 32 minutes. So if they identify a very high variation among the data, meaning their average is not a true average, even if they get an average as 30, 20, whatsoever, that average is not a true average. In the sense that average does not represent the performance of the process. If you're not sure about the performance of your process, then how can you improve? In order to improve, there is a stability required. Every improvement should follow a stability, right? So if we have one kid who is taking like first rank on one of the examination, fifth rank in one of the examination, 10th rank in one of the examination, and fail in another examination, you cannot exactly tell what he or she is capable of, how you can improve, where is the problem. To understand the problem itself, it is very difficult. But where we have another kid who is consistently taking 8th rank, 9th rank, 7th rank, 8th rank. So here in this kid, we know what is her or his performance, and we can take steps to improve the performance because there is a stability. So process stability is primary, because if the process is not stable, you cannot commit any target to your customer. Even if you commit target to your customer, there is no guarantee that you will have a less probability to meet that commitment. Even your internally, if you look at, there is a problem when there is a high fluctuation, there is a problem, which means there may not be any standard training, there is no standard method, your machines are not properly working, maybe it is worn out, that's why it is giving you different results, or somebody is adjusting the process unnecessarily. So there is a great problem, right? So people are not uniformly performing. An organization is called as an organized because it is organized, right? When there is no uniformity, when there is no standard procedure, then there is fluctuations in the results. So variation is like, the bottom of the iceberg. So you are seeing only defectives. The defectives may look smaller to you, but actually the defectives are caused by the variation. If you tend to continue with the variation, then the defectives are going to increase. In fact, it is going to collapse. So saving your process from collapsing. For which, first of all, you have to study your process. So if a process have a wide variation, this is how it looks like. It's a normal distribution curve. Okay. But when you are reducing the standard deviation, if the standard deviation is less, then you can see the blue curve. Okay. Your targets, you meeting the target is pretty assured, guaranteed. So we are trying to reduce the standard deviation. You are reducing the standard deviation to such an extent that you are able to fix 6 times of your standard deviation between the specification limits. So this limits, okay, you can see the blue lines here. So these are called the specification limits or the customer limits, tolerance limits. So this is the need of your customer. Okay, so if your process is not stable, then the variation is very high, and you will definitely fall out of the specification. So as you reduce your variation, your normal distribution is becoming narrow and narrow and narrower, such that you can very much guarantee your customer on the target. So there are statistical calculations on calculating the sigma, calculating the process capability. So when your process is performing at a 1.5 sigma level, then your yield is only 50%, which means there is a probability that 50% of your units will become defective, will go out of specification. In other words, 500,000 defects per million opportunities. So 1.5 sigma level will make you produce 500 defects per million opportunities. So if your process is somewhere around 3 sigma level, then you produce 95% yield. 95% yield may look very high, but when you translate it into defects per million opportunities, it is 50,000 defects per million opportunities. But on another hand, if you are able to achieve 6 Six Sigma, which means your deviation is very, very less, such that you are able to fit 6 times of sigma between upper specification limit and lower specification limit, between the customer tolerance limits. Then your process is 99.9997% yield it produces. In other words, it produces 3 defects per million opportunities. So analyzing your sigma level of your process, analyzing the process capability, which is your CP/CPK values, and accordingly analyzing what is the yield, such that you can guarantee a very narrow target, a very precise target to your customer, and your employees are motivated because they are now, they know, they follow uniform procedures. So Six Sigma is achieved through a model, through a step-by-step approach, and the step-by-step approach is called as, is said to be DMAIC model. DMAIC stands for define, measure, analyze, improve, control. So in all the stages of Six Sigma, we are going to use, we are going to rely on data. Collect data, use tools. In the define stage, you will use different set of tools. In the measure stage, you will use basic statistical tools, descriptive statistical tools. In analyze stage, you will use little advanced statistical tools, which are called as inferential statistical tools. And then from the first 3 phases, you will understand what the problem is, where the source of variation is. And then once you implement the solution, you have to stabilize that new improvement. It doesn't stop with just providing solutions. Implementing it and making people continuously follow the new method, new procedure. Right? So these are the steps. These are the steps to deploy Six Sigma projects. Now, if you have a question whether to follow Lean or Six Sigma, our intention is to achieve the customer satisfaction, competitive advantage, being profitable, right? So why we have to argue between Lean and Six Sigma? The present trend is to integrate Lean and Six Sigma. You would have heard about Lean Six Sigma methodology, right? So now academicians, practitioners have found a way to integrate both Lean and Six Sigma. So Lean works on eliminating waste, whereas Six Sigma works on eliminating variation. So both are important for an industry. On one hand, you want to eliminate the MUDA. On one hand, you want to stabilize your results. So Lean, the focus of Lean are elimination of waste, ensuring absolute process flow with no chaos and bottlenecks, ensuring that you serve only to the demand. You don't push products or materials or anything, not even the information. And in order to achieve all the 3, you use a visual approach, a visual tool, a logical tools, a common sense approach, which requires no investment. In fact, you do not even require a great number of team composition to implement Lean. Just 2 people can implement Lean in their process. Lean can even be made local. Of course, when you have a higher sponsorship commitment and if you deploy Lean across the organization, that's a different story. I mean, the benefit that you're going to get is multifold. But Lean is possible with a small composition. You don't require subject matter experts to implement Lean. Okay, if they know the basic Lean concepts, even the operators, they themselves, the process owners, they themselves can implement Lean. Six Sigma, on the other hand, which focus on reducing the variation, such that it focus on improving the yield, reducing the defects, reducing the defectives, so that it build capable systems, a uniform, stable, capable systems. But in order to deploy Six Sigma, an analytical approach is required. You require statistical tools. You require a team composition. You require a commitment from the sponsor. You require an organizational wide support because you have to take time out of your regular work. If you're an operator or if you're a process owner, you are going to just stop your process and observe, for which you have to get the commitment from your sponsor. It may not be just you, it may require some people who are good at the statistical tools, who know the Six Sigma. There are several levels of Six Sigma yellow belt, green belt, black belt, master black belt. So you may require the help of the experts in order to observe, analyze the data, and interpret the data. But the amount of improvement that you can bring in after the deployment of Six Sigma is a focused improvement, because it exactly identifies where is the source of variation and try to eliminate that variation, right? So here it uses analytical approach and particularly statistical tools, right? So now how do we integrate? So before we get into a Six Sigma improvement in our organization, we have to start with a lean improvement. First, make your organization lean. First, keep your workplace organized. Reduce the inventory. Reduce all kind of waste. Work on bottlenecks. Remove the bottlenecks. Identify the demand. Produce for the demand. Make your system flexible, right? So once this basic improvement is done, then for the remaining problems, it may require a Six Sigma approach, because it may require some deeper study in order to work on the residual problems. So start with lean and move towards Six Sigma. So lean and Six Sigma are now called as other. It is the in the same coin. These are the two sides of the same coin. Okay, and there is also one more approach called as BPR, business process reengineering. Business process reengineering is it composed of multiple Six Sigma projects. Lean and Six Sigma would try to improve your existing process. It doesn't work on redesigning your process. Whereas business process reengineering is redesigning of your process. Just from a clean slate, you rub everything and you start your organization afresh. You will redesign your processes right from the scratch. When your processes are no longer serving the newer markets or the dynamic environment, then you have to start with a clean slate. So in order to deploy BPR is from Six Sigma. In future, you may have to move to BPR if required, because BPR involves a huge investment. BPR requires a huge commitment. The change management, the scale of change management is huge. It may even take 2 years to do a BPR for an average organization. If the organization is wide, it will further move forward. So BPR will not call for lean, okay, but it would call for Six Sigma projects. All right, the knowledge on both lean and Six Sigma, or the integration of lean Six Sigma, would produce both quality and value. So the intersection is, of course, on one side, a value would satisfy the customer. On another side, less variation would satisfy the customer. So for achieving the customer satisfaction, both quality or less variation and value have to be achieved. So lean focus on speed, whereas Six Sigma focus on accuracy. So how does it focus on speed? Because when you're making your process, when you're reducing the waste, the cycle time will get reduced. Your process time will get reduced. When your process time gets reduced, and if your non-value added activities are removed, the throughput time is reduced. So you are able to deliver it at a higher speed. On another hand, Six Sigma works on accuracy. When there is less variation, your customers are so candid. They are so confident that every time you will walk the talk. You would deliver what you promised, because they know that you have a flawless, uniform, stable processes. Everyone's follow methods, procedures. When there is a variation, you have a system to eliminate the variation. So they know that you provide consistent results. right? So a customer wants both. They don't want to pay more. They don't want to pay for wasteful activities. On the other hand, they want consistent results, right? So integrating Lean and Six Sigma is the right approach, rather debating between Lean and Six Sigma. So with that, I complete my lecture.
Thank you, Durga. So it was a nice presentation on how elimination of waste and reduce the variation and introduction to the PPR system. So before we go open fully on to the questions, so let's quick details on some of the other free webinars that are coming and the trainings that we have. So the next free webinar is on August 21st, 7 p.m. Indian time. So that is basically on EPPM, Enterprise Project Portfolio Management using Microsoft Project Online and Project Client. So which covers basically the features of Project Online and Microsoft Project. And also it will cover some details about the custom development we did with the out-of-the-box system, which gives some solution to predictive project lifecycle as well as adaptive and scaled agile lifecycle. So you'll be receiving the invitation in 2 or 3 days. So whoever have time, you can just attend, or you can also forward this to your decision makers or leadership team. So for them, it will be very much helpful. Can you move to the next slide, please? Okay, and then PMP certificate preparatory training, PMP training, project management professional training, that is coming up on August 24. So it is 2 hours per day, Monday to Thursday, and it's 7 a.m. IST and 5:30 a.m. UAE time. And the facilitator is Durgadevi, so you know how she is presented. And so we have various other PMP programs also. So it's the right time to do the PMP because from January onwards, the examination pattern is changing. So from October or November, you may not be able to see any trainings that are running. So this may be the right opportunity. Move to the next slide, please. Okay. And on August 31st, we are starting with our SAFE Scrum Master training with the project and team organization. So this is 4 hours per day and it's for 4 days. So it's from the Scaled Agile certification. So the certification cost is also included with this. And it starts at 6 p.m. EST, 4:30 p.m. UAE. Okay, please move to the next one, please. Okay, and we have two PMP refresher trainings that are coming in. One is on September 6th and another one September 14th. So once again, it's Durga, so who is going to facilitate this session. So September 6th, it's at 10 a.m. So it's for 3 hours program on a weekend. And then September 14th, it's on Monday and Wednesday. So it's on 5 p.m. UAE and 6:30 p.m. Indian time. So this is this includes hand-holding, application support, everything. So this is basically for the persons who are already taken PMP trainings and who needs a refresher because they lost contact and they could not take up the certification. So they need to take up the certification and do some refresher training. So for them, it will be helpful. This may be our last training based on our current examination pattern. So from October or November, we'll be starting based on the new examination pattern that is starting from January. So it's a good opportunity to use any one of the training program on the PMP. So whether the full training program starting on August 24th or take up the refresher training. So refresher training will not give the 35 hours credit. So you should have already attended 35 hours training. So this will give the brush up to take up the exam quickly. Okay, next one, please. Okay, so this is the summary of the training programs. We have another training program coming on Microsoft Project and Microsoft Project Online. Microsoft Project is on August 17th. So that is for 3 hours starting from 7 to 10 p.m. And Project Online training is on September 14th. That is from 10 a.m. to, 7 to 10 p.m. once again. Okay, so these are the training programs that we have. So now we're open for questions. So any questions you have, you can just type in the chat, or you can unmute and take up the questions. No questions? So if you don't have any questions, you can give your feedback also by unmuting or in the chat, and also we have shared the feedback form link. So in either one you can do.